Hello everyone, it's Leah from Presley World and welcome to my first podcast. This is Ep.1 and basically it's going to be an introduction of myself, Leah, and pretty much I'm going to fill you in about what I want to do with this podcast and the goals that I have for the future. So as most of you know, I run an Instagram page at Presley World _ and I have a Facebook page, The Presley World, and a Tumblr at Presley World. I run a YouTube page channel as well at Presley World. I posted various videos breaking down Elvis and Priscilla's toxic relationship and the misconceptions. I discussed the misconception. I discussed the various lies and conspiracies surrounding their relationship. Those were the most popular videos. I had various Q&As posted as well. As most of you know, my Instagram page is the most popular, where I post various book excerpts, interviews, Q&As, and I discuss my personal opinion and discoveries on various topics, Elvis topics. So basically, that is what I want to do with this podcast, except I want to dig deeper and involve other fans and people who knew Elvis. I want to do maybe a few interviews. I want to bring people on the show. I want to share the truth. I want to spread the truth. Something that I say to the fans almost daily is, I am a truth seeker. That's all I care about. I want the straight facts. Don't bullshit me. Wait, should this be family friendly? I don't know. I don't want the lies and misconceptions. I want to know the facts of the matter, so that's my goal here. Shed light on the truth. I want people, the fans, to be able to see the reality of the situation. So I'm sure I'll discuss the same topics that I did on my YouTube, on my Instagram. Elvis and his personal life. It's a very touchy topic, but one that has me completely intrigued. I've been a fan for 7 years, and that is what I spent trying to debunk, is his mind, his personal life. I want to, pick his brain. So the last 7 years I have spent researching. And man, if you see how I was in the beginning, I was a fan of probably about 17 years old. And the first book I bought was Elvis and Me. It's funny now because I still own the book. But I every time I read through it, which I do often because I like to keep my memory fresh, I just have to laugh. Man, I don't want to get into too much on this episode. But wow, the contradictions are incredible. Man. But that was my first book, Elvis and Me, Last Train to Memphis, and Careless Love. Those are my first 3 Elvis books. And a month later, I booked my trip to Graceland, and the journey began. I wanted to know. I've been to Graceland 3 times. Impressive, right? I've been to Graceland 3 times, and each time is a new experience. And, I've read about 34 Elvis biographies. And each one is like, wow, it's something new to take in. And you can have your own opinion and make up your own mind here. That's what I want to do. I don't want to push my opinion. I want to share what I know and what I've learned and, what I've heard. And, leave it up to you to make up your own mind. But, yeah. I want to have people on the show as well. I actually have a few volunteers. So it should be very interesting to bring people who have their own experiences and Elvis knowledge and to discuss it with them. I'm very, very excited to share it with you guys. Before I get into the Q&As, I just want to say I keep all of my Q&As anonymous. That means if you ask me a question on my Instagram and I answer them on my Instagram or on the podcast, I will keep it completely anonymous. So don't be afraid to ask, the more nitty-gritty questions. You won't be exposed. I keep it completely anonymous. Only I will know who is asking the question. Which girlfriend do you think gave Elvis the most of what he needed in life and love and friendship? What a lovely question. Oh my gosh. See, I used to pick and choose quite a bit. Now it's actually a really difficult decision because I feel like so many of them were just not good enough. Now I see that. But if I were to say who gave Elvis the most of what he needed, oh dear God. You guys put me in these positions. I feel like each one came into his life for a reason, and they gave him different things. There we go. That's a wonderful answer, right? I feel like they each had a purpose, some negative, some positive. I feel like he learned, his lesson in some relationships, and others, it was like a positive growing experience for him. One of my favorite girlfriends at the moment, I have a couple that I really admire. Ginger Alden, Joyce Bova. These two women are my personal favorites at the moment, but I know a lot of people have opinions about things they don't understand, but I feel like they all kind of gave him different things, and there was a different result for each. So it's hard for me to answer that question because I feel like you would need to ask him, like, hey, who did you learn the most from? Who gave you the most, But my personal opinion only means so much, but yeah. Thank you for your lovely question, though. Sorry I couldn't really answer it. But I'm trying to be as realistic as I possibly can, and he's not here to answer that question. But I personally just feel each one gave him a different experience, positive and negative. I just really wish he was here to answer that one, because I want to know too. So this question is about Linda Thompson. I don't think I'm going to answer that. I'm not going to get into it, Linda Thompson stuff right now. My first podcast ever. Getting into a really juicy situation. But I guarantee you I will discuss Linda Thompson and various other Elvis girlfriends in my later segments, but I don't think I want to talk too much about that with my first one, as this is just a, like a trial for me, like kind of like experimenting with what I can do, and first of all, how I sound. Good Lord, I hope it's not too mumbly. I don't have my mic. I ordered it yesterday, and it's on the way today, but I didn't feel like waiting till 5 o'clock to use it, so I'm just using my iPhone headphones. So cross your fingers. Don't know how it's going to sound. If you were to describe Elvis, how would you describe him? Oh, Lord. Always putting me on the spot with these questions. Charming, generous, witty, smart, outgoing, goofy. I used to call him like a dork. I would say happy birthday dork when I would wish him a happy birthday, or just talking about him, I'd describe him as a dork. And the fans would get so angry at me because he was a little goofy. And a lot of them have him up on this pedestal so high that if you say anything that could be slightly degrading. I don't even find it degrading. It's just like a nickname, like a funny thing. They get so angry. And I describe him as a dork to almost everybody. Like, he was just a silly guy and, just full of, humor and so many emotions. So emotional and sensitive and just in tune with everything around him. It's very fascinating. I've spent the last 7 years trying to get inside of his head to break him down as a person, not as an entertainer, but as an individual. And it has been challenging yet enlightening because he is just so many things. It's not just one set personality. He had so many different parts of who he is, and they came together and created this just magnificent creature. But if I had to describe him, how would I describe him? Impossible to describe. Is that an answer? Can I use that? Impossible to describe. So many different parts of who he is. I think he's incredible, though. I mean, incredible man with a bunch of interesting parts to his personality. So, very complex person, which I do use quite a bit to describe him. A very complex individual with a lot of emotion and sensitivities. It's just, I can go on and on, but we'll get to that later. We have so much to talk about and so much time to talk about it. So, thank you for your question. That was a lovely question. Here's another question. Is it true he sang a lot more passionately, when singing gospel music? Oh, I think so. You could tell he goes into a whole different realm when he's singing gospel or Christian music, because spirituality was such a major part of who he was, and I think that he just really lost himself into, in the lyrics and in the moment. Yes, it is true. He sang more passionately. But, to be honest with you, I think it was just, I don't know. I've heard some love songs where you're like, I get chills and I don't really listen to his music that much. Please don't hate me. I am more interested in him as a person than an entertainer. So I don't listen to him daily, but when I do, there's some love songs. Wow, Jesus, man, you have a incredible talent. I don't know, the most passionate I've heard him wasn't gospel music, but I feel like he lost himself more with gospel music. Yes. Yeah, I did not get that many Q&As, which is so weird because I have about 6,000 plus followers at the moment. And normally I have so many questions that I get asked, and it's incredible, actually. It's a little overwhelming at times. But I only got a handful. I asked the fans on my Instagram, hey, I'm starting a podcast, ask me questions, and let's see how many I got. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions. Come on, guys. Really? I'm just playing. Thank you for the ones that asked. I'm sure that I've gotten literally thousands of questions in the past, and I don't know, thousands? Maybe hundreds. I don't know. What is math? So, 13 questions. 13 questions. Come on, guys. Now I'm just sitting here staring at my phone awkwardly because I don't have any other questions to ask. Anyway, so basically that's what I want to do. My whole thing is to expose in the most ladylike way that I possibly can. I'll try to stay ladylike throughout this process, but I really, 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 really want to bring the truth to the fans, and I feel like that's enough, right? Just wanting the truth to be out there. Because there's so many things that, you know, when I first became an Elvis fan, I was 17 years old. But I had grown up with him, his music. But I really didn't truly appreciate him as a person until about 17. When I first became a fan, the first book I bought was Elvis and Me. As most fans do. They're going to go, hey, who knew him best? Oh, he was married, so let me ask his wife. That was sort of the situation. So the first books I ever bought, I own 34 now. 34 Elvis books, biographies. But the first 3 that I bought were Careless Love. My God. I'm telling you. The Last Train to Memphis, Careless Love, and Elvis and Me. I'm so sorry. Whew. And, instantly, you are being sucked into this story about Elvis and his true love, his ex-wife, Priscilla. Oh my God. You were just sucked into this, and I remember wanting to believe it. I was like, yes, this is so beautiful. And you just get really sucked into this, freaking fairy tale. And I bought it. I was a young girl, impressionable. Of course I did. And then, as the freaking months went by and I was reading all these books and I was, listening to interviews and I was really debunking everything, and that's what I do. I want to get to the bottom of it, right? And then all these little red flags are just popping up left and right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's something going on here. Your story does not match up, sweetheart. And that's one thing about her, the ex-wife. Her stories are they are all over the place. They are not consistent whatsoever. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe the next day. We'll see. But as you probably have come to the conclusion, that's what I want to do. To expose all the, lies. Almost said the bullshit. I don't know. Should I cuss in this? Should this be family friendly? I don't know. Maybe it should be. Probably. Okay. So anyway, that's my goal here. You know what I want to do. If you've been following my Instagram page, you know what I'm about. I'm about the truth, and I will bring it to you. And I hope you accept it. Okay, so I know that was all over the place and whatever, but I hope you stayed listening long enough to know what my goal is, what my plan is for the future, a lot of plans for the future, and I hope you enjoyed the Q&A. So really, thank you for staying for staying as long as you did. I'm a newbie, So, yeah. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a lovely week.